Hello, Internet, and welcome to another episode of Arena Time here on ShoutStone. My name is Shoutthis, and I'm bringing you another of Totalbiscuit's arena matches as we follow his run through the arena here on ShoutStone. So, without further ado, let's hop into what will be Game 7 of this series. It is Malfurion versus Anduin. So, as it stands right now, TB is, I believe, 4-2 in this arena run. So he is one loss away from his run coming to an end, and 5 wins away from Grandmaster. So it's a difficult road ahead, but I think he can pull it off. We'll have to just see how this game pans out. Totalbiscuit playing the part of Malfurion the Druid. Sosuke playing the part of, Anduin the Priest. Jeez. Loot Hoarder to kick things off. Usually a very good, not a bad opening play, because it gets you that extra card early when you don't have very many, if it dies. And in this case, it will die. So a quick Shadow Word Pain. Well, not the best kind of card to get this early, but hey, at least it's a card. So, I'm going to drop a Panther, 3/2 Panther, instead of getting the card draw on that ability, which is a good move for the second move of the game. You're looking at some pretty substantial damage this early, but this is about the point where you start to see similar cards come out. Alright, so a Brewmaster buffed up to 3/4, which means it won't be a trade to get rid of it, unless of course he plays the Elven Archer and then attacks in. That's exactly what he will do. So the even trade is made. Elven Archer and Argent Squire now on the field. And a few smaller minions. Emperor Cobra now. Definitely something that's going to want to be taken out of play pretty soon here, because it can certainly be a problem. I think, yeah, basically attacking in with both minions and the hero power will do it. And it won't actually cause any damage, so it won't kill the Argent Squire. So he does get to keep one minion alive, fortunately. And has a few different options for the next round. Knife Juggler coming into play. That's again another minion that you'll probably want to get taken out of the picture before it's too late and it starts to pick things off and deal some unnecessary damage. But we are still starting off kind of slow, not really a big advantage seeing on either side of the table at this point. Quite a few options for Totalbiscuit. Looks like he's going to sacrifice his hero power and attack in with that minion to take out the Knife Juggler before it's too late, and drops Murloc. Alright, so we're getting some very light early play right now. Nothing substantial coming out on the field, at least thus far, but plenty of time to go to actually get something. Northshire Cleric will be Sosuke's response. Has a bunch of options here, and it will be the Cult Master that's going to come out. He's going to try and get some extra cards by sacrificing his minions to take that one out. So he's getting a nice loaded hand, and finally some of the options that he's actually getting are going to be useful on the next turn. At least they're going to be big drops. And at this point, a big drop could be very handy. I don't know what Sosuke has. Playing a Kobold Geomancer, get that extra bit of spell power. Doesn't affect the heal, but I guess that's really a sign that I have no other options, so turn is passed. So we're starting to look at some of the higher cost cards. We're up to the 7-drop now. Got a few things he can play with. He's going to drop a Druid of the Claw, throw that in bear form to get something a little more substantial on the field. And start dealing some reasonable damage to the opposing hero. It's minimal at best, but you start to remove that resource as an option. And we do talk about how health is a resource that really all players should use, and not in the literal sense, the way that a Warlock card would be. Like a Warlock deck, everything that comprises a Warlock is a resource. Mana, health, actual mana, mana gems, I should say, are a resource. So, there's quite a bit out there. So, anyway, Faceless Manipulator comes out to replicate that Druid of the Claw, but health is a resource also when you're taking things out of play. Like, being willing to sacrifice a few points of health to kill a minion that could eventually be a problem is part of the game. And you gotta manage that carefully. Of course, when your health gets too low, that resource starts to get too low, and you don't want to start making those risky moves. And when you play like that, when you don't just play to preserve every point of health you have, you'll start to find that your game will evolve a lot. And you'll actually start to see a lot more success, honestly. You'll probably win more because you're making those moves that some players don't make or don't know to make. Because there's this built-in concept to want to not take damage. Like, that's the predisposed topic when you enter a card game like this. You don't take damage, because if you take all the damage, you lose. The problem is that it's not really the way it works. Yeah, if you take all the damage, if your damage is 0, you lose, but that last point is what really counts. Anyway, Boulder Fist Ogre and a Loot Hoarder out on the field for Totalbiscuit. A pretty stacked lineup of minions for Sosuke to try and deal with. So it looks like he's going to swing in to do a quick exchange of damage here, and he will Holy Nova the field to keep it nearly clear. Did get the extra spell damage buff off of that Geomancer, and keeps the field clear. A buff of health back to the bear. An attack, and looks like we're done. So a good job of removing Totalbiscuit's options from the field. AoE always a considerable threat, whether it's mage, whether it's priest, paladin, doesn't matter. And here comes an Ironbark Protector, 8/8 with taunt. It's going to take a lot more to actually take that big guy down. Holy Fire, however, a good way to do it. And he does trade the Kobold Geomancer. And things are not looking the way Totalbiscuit wants them to. But it's still early. TB is only down to 20 HP. We are at the 10 mana point, so there's no further concern in that regard. Actually, I think we might be at 10 drop at this point, but regardless. Another bear form. Another bear form. Multiple Druids of the Claw were, I guess, in this particular draw. So that's going to be kind of handy. You know, get those taunt minions out there, force your opponent to make a decision on how he wants to attack, and it's going to allow him to get some cards out that may require a little protection to survive. Sunwalker comes into play. Looks like he is going to self-heal the Yeti back up to 3 HP. And still in a pretty good position. Now, as far as TV needs to go, he does have the Spellbreaker, which might prove to be very useful on that Sunwalker. So he doesn't have to try to contend with Taunt and Divine Shield, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Shut it down. Could also be a good point to bring out the Venture Company Mercenary, which is a solid 5-drop, and get some sturdy minions in exchange. Alright, so he will trade a bit there, and plays that Darkscale Healer instead to recover some of the health that he lost by destroying that Taunt minion. Alright, so a Thought Steal by the Priest player. I'm going to grab a couple of cards and see what he has to play. I'm kind of interested to see this. But we're looking at a pretty even exchange right now. I don't think either player's really set themselves apart as a frontrunner in this game quite yet. It's getting there, and the pieces are being put into place, but not quite there yet. A lot of the minions that are being put into play are pretty high value. 4 attack seems to actually be the theme of everything right now. Looks like he could attack with that Sunwalker, take that Druid out, and not lose the Sunwalker yet. I mean, he will certainly lose it next turn, most likely. but at least not yet. Alright, so the Druid of the Claw is gone. Trades the Yeti for the Spellbreaker. And we could get... we're running to the end of the turn here. Sosuke needs to find a response here. He's going to play Hogger. And that's going to give him a 2-2 Knoll with Taunt. And it should serve as a little more than just a annoyance, maybe a distraction, but I don't think at this point it's going to be a huge problem for TV to deal with. He's got a lot of good options here. If he does decide to play that Mercenary, of course he's going to want to get some of his other cards out first. Violet Teacher, probably not what he wants to play. Could drop that Gnomish Inventor. Or Gnomish Engineer, excuse me. That will give him another card option. Yeah, he's got Savage Roar, but not quite. I don't think he wants to play it quite yet. Get a little bit more out there first. Yeah, it's a little early for Savage Roar. Yeah, I'm still looking at that, the Engineer. Get another card option, see if it's something that could be a little more interesting. I'm gonna play the Violet Teacher instead, and do Savage Roar on that, which will allow another minion to come out. Unfortunately, two of them are asleep, so there's nothing he can really do there. But he will be able to take Hogger out of play, and kill off the Knoll. So... I mean, it was enough to take Hogger out, and I guess that was one of the most important reasons that he popped Savage Roar early. But we'll do an even trade on the Sunwalker, Mogushen Warden, and a Chillwind Yeti, so we're not seeing a lot in the way of really ridiculously powerful minions here, but just good minions. I mean, Chillwind Yeti is a great arena card. I know it's just a 4/5 minion, but it's good. Don't disregard that. Alright, so getting some card draws here. Stormwind Champion, Mark of Nature. Mark of Nature being the only option he has at this point. And he could buff up that Teacher. Or instead he's going to actually give some Taunt and HP that way. And a quick shot in on the Mogushen Warden, but does not have enough to actually take it out. Such is life, I suppose. Mind Control Tech's going to come out and steal one of the 1/1s. Thankfully, precisely the type of result that I think TV would have hoped for out of playing that Mind Control Tech. Didn't want to lose his 5/9 minion with Taunt, or really anything else. You know, take one of the cheaper minions and leave mine alone. It's gonna attack him with that Yeti, lose it, and that's really it. Playing a Booty Bay Bodyguard, heals up that Mogushen Warden. So now it's gonna come down to buffing some things up. I would say Stormwind Champion could be a reasonable option. That's going to give everything some girth and some power. That's exactly what he'll do. Not only because it also adds a very sturdy minion to the other side of the field. And he's going to have to take out the Booty Bay Bodyguard. That guy is gone. He could trade a couple... Well, actually, he won't be trading anything. So I'm able to take out the Mogushen Warden and do a quick point of damage to take out that little 1/1 guy and not lose any damage because of the mana. Alright, so Mind Control Tech, the only thing left, and things are starting to look good for TB if he can start dealing damage to the hero. A lot of this game, sometimes in these games, a lot of it is setup. And he will actually concede. So Sosuke concedes probably a little early, but maybe he's starting to realize that he's reached the point of the game where the options are just not there for him. So all he can really afford to do at that point is just concede the game. Didn't take a single point of damage. Or at least finish the game at 30. He took some damage, but he healed it back up. But that's the way these games can go, you know? That game would have gone on probably for 2 or 3 more turns, but that would have been it. I don't think Sasuke had really any options left. But that'll do it for this episode of ShoutStone and Arena Time. We'll be back on Wednesday for the next game in this series. And we'll be back tomorrow with more Hearthstone action, so don't miss it. But thanks a lot for watching. Find me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are in the description below. You can also subscribe to this channel for daily Hearthstone updates. And like the video, leave a comment. I'll read them all. I always do. And I will see you all next time.